Welcome to a new video, where we are going to discuss a new trading strategy, this time, for scalping in a minute. Yes, a strategy that can help us on a daily basis to make the most of those small ranges, or those small structures, in 1 minute candle time. They are usually a type of trade that usually ends in 10 to 15 minutes, some can last even half an hour, but usually they do not exceed that time. Therefore, with this type of strategy, we will receive several entry signals over the course of a day, or at least normally. As you can see on the screens, we will use 3 indicators. It is a very easy to execute strategy, and we can also use it as an aid to more easily interpret the range we are in, the price momentum, and we can also add other basic indicators, varying the strategy a little depending on the volatility of the asset we are analyzing. In this case, it has been studied for that 1 minute time frame in Bitcoin. In the case of trading other cryptocurrencies, we also need to consider this extreme volatility, and it would be much easier if you use it in Forex or traditional markets. As I said, we are going to see it live on the Bitcoin chart. And first of all, remind you that if you like the world of trading and want to support our work, leave us a good like, that is completely free, share the video with your friends who may be interested, and in the description we will also leave you with the best platform for trading cryptocurrencies in the market, the safest and with which you can also get different bonuses. Thank you very much, and we are continuing with the strategy. The first of these 3 indicators that we are going to use is the STD, this one here, the Gaussian one. We would click and it would start to load us. There we have it. As you can see, it is simply a kind of trend indicator, which also adds buy and sell alerts, which will help us a little when we combine it with the 2 indicators that we will see below. Here you go to settings and remove the color of the candles, since we are not going to use it, and it would be messing us up a bit if we left it. The second indicator that we will use is the super trend, which many of you will already know. We set it, and, as you can see, it already gives us a clearer view of that trend. It also makes it clear to us how we will use both indicators. The super trend is that trend a little further away from the average price. However, the STD, on the contrary, is an average but closer to the price of that moment, giving us a little more real information about that trend. Finally, we are going to use this indicator. We simply have to type Hackled and it will come out. He is also from Lazy Bear, who is a person who has always provided many indicators to the community. We click and it will come out this way. As I said, it is a strategy backtested over 1,000 1-minute trades, but if it helps you to combine these indicators with other indicators that you have, or another type in other periods, it could also be very useful to you, perhaps not to balance the entries and exits exactly, but to help you with other factors in your trading. The rules of this strategy are very simple. I'm going to look for an example from just a few days ago in the price of Bitcoin, to explain to you what you'll have to do to look for a good entry. First of all, the first rule would be to wait for the STD to mark a change in trend, accompanied by a buy or sell signal. In this case we would look for a short and mark here. As you can see, this S as a sell signal. At that moment we have to see if that change in trend also occurs in the same candle marked by the super trend, and if those 2 rules already exist, we would look at the bottom, if we have the area in red. As you can see, all 3 factors are met, so our entry would simply be at the close of that candle. We would place our stop loss just above the S that marks that entry, and then the take profit we would move it to a trade with a ratio of 1.5 to 1, that is, for each stop loss we would have to put a 1.5 take profit ratio. As you can see, it comes perfectly at this point, and we would have the winning trade. The easiest thing to find this type of trade, because as you can see, some of them do mark that buy, that purchase in the super trend, but we would still be in the red zone, and obviously the STD wouldn't mark us until this candle here, which would still be in the red, and yet the trade would have been positive. That is what I was referring to when I said that this combination of indicators, this strategy, can also help you to know where you are, and with other basic knowledge that you have, such as the breakdown of structures, breakout entries based on volume or other indicators, together with the data provided by this strategy, which indicates that this entire area could be a good entry range. We could combine it perfectly to make all kinds of positive operations, and above all that they are helping us in a 1-minute time frame, because it is quite difficult to find a strategy that gives us so much information in such small intervals of time. Personally, if we trade cryptocurrencies with that extreme volatility, I have realized that many times when we want to carry out this strategy, for example in this area where we already have that buying zone, and also the warning of the STD, it would always be more profitable to place our stop loss just below or above, depending on whether we enter short or long, of the triangle that marks that entry for you. Not that we lower it until after the letter of the notice, no, simply in the triangle, in that arrow, so that you have a fairly clear reference point. It would be more than enough. Because in the event that we broke this downward structure, if we set a next lower low than that previous candle, we would already be more likely that the trend would change as it happened a little later on, so it would not make sense to calculate the stop loss lower than it should. In this case, if we place it just below that triangle of that arrow that would mark our entry, we place that take profit with a coefficient of 1 to 1.5, and there we would have another winning trade. This is quite important because it is a personal touch, a piece of advice that I am giving you, and that being trading in cryptocurrency would not change almost anything about our profits, but it would prevent you from eating any stop losses of an unnecessary amount, and obviously in the long run that would give us more returns. Here we would have another example in long. We have that buy zone in the super trend, we would have that STD warning, and the lower indicator zone would be green. We simply entered the close of that candle, placed our stop loss as I just told you, better just below that triangle, and our take profit in a 1 to 1.5 ratio trade. Indeed, after 10 to 15 minutes we would return to positive results. Remember that since it is a strategy in such low time frames, in 1 minute, especially when we find ourselves in accumulation ranges like the one we have here, we have to adjust our entries perfectly, because any slightest failure would already turn into a failed operation. Finally, insist that this strategy will give us quite a few perfect entry points, with the 3 rules perfectly defined, but its usefulness goes much further and can help us even only when we have, for example, that sell here, that sales area that marks the super trend. If we study what is happening in the back zone, not just in that candle, we could see that 2 candles later the STD would also change to red and then mark, that sell zone, right on this candle. It would also coincide with the fact that in this area, in our lower indicator, this change in trend would occur. Along with all this and our basic knowledge of ranges and structures in the trading world, we could notice that there is a structural break in that upper range, and just when that break occurs, that point of sale is also marking us. So, even though he wasn't giving us the 3 rules, with what we know, we could make a very good short entry, both by searching again for that coefficient of 1 to 1.5, which we would arrive at 15 to 20 minutes later, or even protecting our longer-term trade, and being able to bring out another style of trading that is much more profitable. This is to your liking, at your own risk, and also depending on your knowledge of the trading world. And so much for this new strategy. I hope you liked it. Remember that if you want to trade under the best conditions, with free bonuses, and especially on the safest cryptocurrency training platform in the world, I'll leave you the link in the description so that you can get all these benefits and support our community. Thank you very much and see you in the next video.